And that's what I've noticed about anger during the no contact rule. In fact, Coach Anna and I had this really great discussion about this a few years ago on my podcast, where we talked about what to do if your ex is mad at you. And the argument we made was this: one of the best ways to distract ourselves from feeling pain is by growing angry at someone else. And think about it from your ex's perspective. It's been over a week since the no contact rule has been enacted. They've been on this separation elation high. They've realized that maybe they didn't have you pegged the way they thought they did. It's causing them to grow a bit angry. So who's to blame for this roller coaster of circumstance? Well, your ex seems like a perfectly good candidate. And so the common behaviors to expect on days 11 through 15 are angry text messages, angry notes left on cars, bad-mouthing you to mutual friends. It's all part of the game. And that leads us very seamlessly into our next phase, the dyadic phase, which happens during days 16 through 20. But alas, your ex cannot blame you forever. This is where the dyadic phase comes into play. Now, in the past, I've defined the dyadic phase as the situation where one or both partners try to fix a relationship, but there's a hyper focus on them fixing symptoms and not actual problems. But how are you supposed to view this if you just had an ex say all kinds of mean things about you? Does the dyadic phase simply mean that they're going to try to fix the relationship? No. Instead, it's best to think of it in terms of the drunk texting phenomenon. Not to say that you've ever drunk texted anyone, but let's play devil's advocate here and assume that you have. Now, usually after the texting is over and you wake up with a massive hangover, you survey the wreckage you've created while inebriated. That kind of rhymes. Anyways, you're overcome with a wave of guilt, perhaps even a bit of shame. Next, it's time to do the inevitable apology tour. Well, during this phase of the no contact rule, your ex might experience something similar. Regret for the mean things they texted you, shame for how they acted. This can cause them to be apologetic even. We've seen the common take back texts after the angry text. It usually looks something like this. Look, I said some things last night that are simply untrue. I want to apologize. This is the dyadic phase at work. They aren't trying to fix the relationship. Rather, they're trying to make themselves feel better because in their own head, they aren't the bad guy. Sometimes for an ex, this is all they have to hold on to. And if that perception becomes flawed, their entire world can come crashing down. So common behaviors to expect in days 16 through 20: apologizing for angry texts in the previous phase and acting like the angry texts never happened and trying to start a new conversation. Which leads us next to the realization phase, which will take place on days 21 through 25. It's almost been a month and you've been completely radio silent. They might have started stalking your social media profile to see what you're up to. They see you posting, so they know you aren't kidnapped. Nope, just ignoring them. This is the phase where I think they start to realize that you never talking to them again might actually be their new reality. And I'm not really sure they're okay with that. This is often the phase where we see exes try one last desperate plea to get you to respond, which means you're going to get this kind of behavior. So the common behaviors to expect on days 21 through 25 is another angry text, lying to get you to respond, showing up at your work unannounced, showing up at your house unannounced. And that leads us finally to the acceptance phase, days 25 through 30. This phase is simple. They start to accept life without you. Don't panic though. This phase is the crux of my argument for why I believe you should be reaching out after no contact. Think of the roller coaster that your ex has been on throughout this no contact period up to this point. They start off happy. That's a plus. Then they started to get kind of irked at the fact you were ignoring them. A minus. They got angry at you. Another minus. That anger might have made them feel a little bit better for a moment. It's a plus. They feel bad about some of the things they may have said to you. That's a negative. They make themselves feel better by apologizing or trying to put a band-aid over the problem. That's a plus. They realize they may never hear from you again. That's a minus. That's literally 4 gigantic emotional value changes in the span of a month. They're up one moment, down the next. And here's the beauty of the way I teach the no contact rule. You will be reaching out after it, but only after they've gone through this journey. Right when they've started to accept their new reality, you give them that one last value change.